Hi everyone, and a very happy Diwali to all of you, and a super happy New Year. We had talked in our last video with Nisheeta and Bhavana that there are 8 Lakshmis. They are called the Ashta Lakshmi, and only when you have all the 8 Lakshmis in your life moving really well for you, then you can consider yourself truly prosperous. And I had asked people to think about what would be your 8 Lakshmis. Okay. Today we are going to discuss the 8 Lakshmis, the Ashtalakshmi that the scriptures have prescribed and that Gurudev has talked about. And of course, we will be joined in with Nishita and Bhavna, giving us their stories and their ideas about the Ashtalakshmis as well. Hmm? Now, me being a Parsi, I am not too conversant with the exact scriptural connotations of the Ashtalakshmi, and for that I'm going to call Dinesh, and he's going to talk about it. But before that, I'm going to tell you this cool little story that I absolutely love. Uh, there was this beautiful house, and they were very devout uh, people living there. They used to worship the Lord, Narayana, and really do his aradhana and do the puja, and so devoted and so completely, uh, surrendered to him. And Lord Narayana, of course, very happy, so he would go and visit their house very often. In fact, he would stay there only most of the time. Now his wife, goddess Lakshmi, she started getting jealous. Because what is this? Why is my husband going and staying at this place? Why is all the time, whenever you see where is Lord Narayana, I have made some biryani, where is Lord Narayana? He's at that house. Let's go for a little vacation somewhere, and where is the husband? Oh, he's chilling out in that house. So she starts getting jealous. What's going on here? And so she goes over there and she sees, oh, these people, they are such devotees, such great devotees of Lord Narayana. She gets really jealous, and then she gets an idea. You know what she does? She goes and spills herself all over the place. Wealth of all sorts just manifests in that house. Suddenly gold is here and silver is there and diamonds and rubies and all sorts of sampatti, as they call it, is suddenly there in that house. And because of all that wealth, those people of that house get carried away and start neglecting Lord Narayana. And after some time, he says, okay, maybe I'm not wanted here anymore. And he leaves and he goes back. And Lakshmi is very happy. She's got her husband back. So she also says, bye, and leaves and goes away. And so this Diwali, understand that if you want the manifestation of wealth in the material, then you need to really pay attention to Lord Narayana. The big tip over here is don't run after Goddess Lakshmi. Get her to run after you. And the way to do it is to go into spirituality, into knowledge, into meditation. Yes. Lakshmi and Narayana are married. When you have the Lord himself with you, his consort is 100% going to be with you, and in ways that you cannot even imagine. So have a lovely Diwali, okay, and a very beautiful, wonderful, prosperous, healthy, fantastic, crazy New Year. All right. And now I'm going to call Dinesh, and he is going to talk about the Ashtalakshmis with Nishita and Bhavana. So Dinesh, over to you.
So what a lovely story. So Lakshmi means, if you are familiar with Hindi or Sanskrit, Laksh means goal. And what is our goal? What is the very purpose of life? That is to be happy. Uh, Love, joy, enthusiasm. Right? This is the Laksh, which is embodied by Narayana, by spirituality. That which uplifts the spirit is spirituality. Yeah? And Lakshmi is one who takes you to the goal. So, one of the biggest uh, problems we have, or the trap we fall into, is thinking that Lakshmi is the Laksh, that Lakshmi herself is the goal. Lakshmi is the way, is the path to the goal. And there are 8 Lakshmis. That is why it's called the Ashta Lakshmi. First is what is called Adi Lakshmi. Adi means the beginning, the foremost, the most fundamental, the very foundation. Adi is knowing what is our roots, where we have come from, what is our basic identity. Knowing this, having a memory, a remembrance of who we are, is Adi Lakshmi. Then there is Dhana Lakshmi.
So, Dinesh,
Yes.
um, Adi Lakshmi, you spoke about.
Yeah.
I remember when I first started meditating, it was the Sahaj Samadhi meditation technique that I had learned. And there was this beautiful feeling inside. Um, and then within a few weeks, these beautiful things started happening outside. Like this most beautiful house came our way. And then more recently, when a very close family member of mine learned how to meditate and began meditating, another beautiful house in the European countryside came our way. So both these came when we started meditating. You meditate, connect to the source. Is this Adi Lakshmi?
Yes, yes. The when you go to the foundation, then automatically, the building builds on that. Yeah? Or we go deeper into our roots, then new shoots come up, isn't it? Yeah. That much strong the tree becomes. So another thing that is said in Sanskrit is yad bhavam tad bhavati. You change the bhav within, your belief systems, your feeling, and then automatically the world around you changes. So this happens so easily and naturally when you meditate, which is what you experienced. Another thing Gurudev Sri Ravi Shankar ji had said very beautifully, said just the remembrance of who you are. Let us say, since we are talking about wealth, so to speak, let us say right now you got to know that you had $1 billion in your bank account. How would your walk be? How would your talk be? How would you feel? How would, that kind of confidence? Yes, I own the world. And that is the truth. This whole creation belongs to us. So, this awareness of who we are can really bring that wealth. And that is what is called the Adi Lakshmi. When the British, a handful of people, they ruled India, first thing, what did they do? Since they had to rule the whole country, subcontinent, they attacked at the very root of it, saying that, okay, whatever wonderful that you have in this country, it didn't come from here, it came from outside somewhere. So they attacked that fundamental identity. And that's where all these flawed theories like the Aryan invasion and all this came about. So just remembering, if for our children, for our young people, if we make them aware of the fact that they have inherited a legacy, like especially when they are in India, one of the oldest civilizations on the planet, and the country which has never attacked anyone, which has always talked about plurality and diversity. So if they get an if they get this identity, if they become aware of this, then automatically they will go forward towards their goal, towards everyone's goal of a happier, healthier planet. That's first. Second is Dhanalakshmi. Dhanalakshmi is wealth. And this is, of course, this is what is traditionally thought of as Lakshmi, but it is one of the eight wealths. Having money, having riches. Yeah. Bhavana or Nisheeta, would you like to add how this could be a Lakshmi, how this could be a path to the goal?
So, Dinesh, when you speak of Dhan Lakshmi, I'm again taken back to 20 years ago at the very outset of my professional career, where I really felt I'd been blessed by Lakshmi, which, as I understand now, is could be Dhan Lakshmi. Um, I belong to the batch of 2002 at IIM Bangalore. This is when the dot-com bubble burst. Um, this is when the downturn had hit. It was not a good time to be there. Placements were just starting, and that meant everything to people who studied in business school. It so turned out that despite placements being very, very slow that year, I ended up in what was considered one of the most aspirational companies at the time and continues to be, BCG. So it really felt as though it was a blessing of Lakshmi. Would you agree?
Of course. And
Yes, it was.
Then I have a follow-up.
It was among the most well-paying ones. So yes, blessings with Lakshmi. Sorry, Dinesh, I interrupted.
no, Nisheeta was
So
asking.
I have a follow-up question then.
Yeah.
When I rewind, pre-business school, I had spent 4 years of my life during college days. And while other people chose to spend time shuttling between the canteen and movies, I chose to spend out of college hours teaching less privileged children. In a way, I've always wondered, was that gift of Dhanlakshmi where, out of everybody, that gift of Dhanlakshmi had come to me in business school? Was it really a return gift for the service I had done in earlier years? What would you say, Dinesh?
Perhaps, because when you're doing good for others, when you're raising the spirits of people, yeah, helping others, doing seva, then automatically, as Bhava was saying earlier with the story, you go after Narayana, you help others, you are spiritual in whatever way, either you are meditating, you are helping people around you, you are a responsible, kind individual, yeah, then it will reflect in uh, these eight wells. It will reflect in these eight wells coming up in your life, including, as you mentioned, as your experience has been, Dhanalakshmi. So Adi Lakshmi is the first, Dhanalakshmi, and then we have Dhanya Lakshmi. Dhanya Lakshmi is wealth in the form of health, good health. Your ability to eat what you want to be, your ability to eat what you want and to share it with everybody around you. Dhanya means grains or food. So some people, they may have millions in their bank accounts, but they can't eat this, can't eat that, have to have so many strict rules. Then that is lack of Dhanya Lakshmi. Also, have you noticed if you go to some small village or somewhere, the way they will welcome you and the way they will feed you, it's phenomenal. You will feel as if you are bursting and say, no, 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 enough. They have Dhanya Lakshmi. They may not have enough wealth, but they have Dhanya Lakshmi, abundance of good health, abundance of food grains and food, and they will happily share it with others.
So, Dinesh, every day we find ourselves in a way blessed with Michelin star food. Our most talented and loving chef at home cooks Jamie Oliver, Otto Lengi, and I would say not just Michelin star food, but healthy Michelin star food. Is this also Dhanya Lakshmi?
Of course. Anything
The,
to do with food and good health is Dhanya Lakshmi.
the lockdown has made me feel richer on the Dhanya Lakshmi because I have had the opportunity to cook and do it much better than anybody else. So kudos to the lockdown.
Wow. So that's the third, huh? Wealth as good health. Then the fourth is Dhairya Lakshmi. You can have all that, but without courage, it doesn't amount to much. You don't go towards the goal, towards the laksh. So Dhairya Lakshmi is having courage, having confidence in your own abilities, or having confidence in the goodness of people around. And that courage and confidence can take you far in life. And that is also a wealth. Dhairya Lakshmi.
Dinesh, that reminds me of an earlier part of my life. You know, I've been born and brought up in small towns, and I'd finished high school and got this opportunity to go to Singapore on a fully paid scholarship to do my junior college. So here I was with this opportunity, always been very cared and protected at home, convent educated. And here comes this opportunity to go all the way. And I think it was a time when my parents, my elder sister, they showed immense courage and confidence in me. Of course, I was the one who was going to undertake that. And I was in Singapore for 2 years on my own, doing my junior college. And I think that was the beginning of a journey which has been so fulfilling, both personally and professionally. And if it hadn't been for that wealth of courage displayed by my family and their confidence in my abilities, and somewhere my courage and confidence, I would put that a little lower down. I don't think that beginning would have been made. So, yes, I think I was truly blessed with their election.
That is so true. So true. You know, nothing great is achieved without having that fearlessness, that little bit of risk. In fact, you need that risk appetite. And that is what is Dhairya Lakshmi.
Totally. Yeah. And it's like we're talking about 25 years ago. And, you know, to have a teenage girl go all by herself, that wasn't easy. That was a lot of belief in the goodness of the world.
I can imagine.
So great. There, Lakshmi. I know I have it.
Fantastic. Then we have the fifth Lakshmi, which is Santan Lakshmi. Santan means progeny. So the joy of progeny or joy from progeny, and Santan also means creativity. The wealth of creativity. You can create, you can leave a legacy. Uh, and that is Santan Lakshmi. Uh, so it could also mean your followership, let us say. Uh, so otherwise, people will say, "Oh, I'm not married." So does it mean that I will never have Santan Lakshmi? No. Your tribe or your community, the people who follow you, yeah, they are also part of that Santan Lakshmi. You know, that energy that is there. Like we are teachers, well, our students are like our children. You know, and that's the joy from them, from your students, from your people, or from your creativity. That is Santan Lakshmi.
Which is probably why we say, I mean, in the literal sense of Santan, I think, you know, we use this term, you've been blessed with a child. So it's, you know, it's actually like a blessing in disguise, irrespective of what the process is all about having a child. I think you do feel blessed. I mean, I have an 11-year-old, and I think just having her, I realized got so much goodness out of me. I didn't even realize there was all that goodness inside me. Of course, there's the other side of it that shows up off and on. But yes, I'm human at the end of the day. But you're right. I mean, that does feel a wealth which has no parallel to it. The whole energy you get, you know, with people, you know, your children. And I think I can take that analogy and tell me, Dinesh, if it's right, to, teams at work.
Yes.
People you deal with, colleagues, peers, the amount of energy I realize just interacting with teams. I mean, you try and do it on your own versus you work with a team. It's such a mutual exchange of enthusiasm. It's almost like, the adrenaline flows just when you're with your people. So I think that's something we all experience. It's probably one of the things we missed even in our regular interactions as life turned on its head in the last 6 7 months. Just that feel of being with people and not just having to interact over
Yeah.
video calls.
Yeah, it adds that whole multiplier effect. You know?
Yes, yes, yes.
So when you work in a team as opposed to when you are alone.
Exactly, exactly.
And that is another symbolism of the Diwali diya.
Okay.
So lamp, when you use the lamp to light another lamp, that initial lamp doesn't go smaller or shorter, isn't it? That flame stays how it is. Yeah.
Right,
So you can lit like 100 lamps, and
right.
that light of yours will spread. So that legacy of yours is carried forward with that Santana Lakshmi.
It's even that point around creativity is very similar. So I used to do these workshops with children. I've reduced them a bit, but just helping them create stuff out with a lot of things around them, and you realize the amount of creativity that you generate in a very small way. It makes so much of a difference and gives so much of satisfaction. It's not funny.
Exactly. Yeah. So that brings you to the Laksh, that your enthusiasm, your love, your joy just explodes.
Totally, totally, yeah, yeah.
Then the sixth Lakshmi, the Santan Lakshmi, and then Samraj Lakshmi. Of course, there are different, the Ashta Lakshmi Stotra may say Gaja Lakshmi, no? Or Bhagya Lakshmi or Saubhagya Lakshmi. No? And it is also said as Samraj Lakshmi. I've heard Gurudev say this. Is the wealth as power, your ability to influence others. Or Saubhagya also means luck. Yeah. Or Gaja Lakshmi means the ability to remove obstacles. We can just classify that as, I mean, put that together as, Samraj Lakshmi. Your ability to influence others, or make others do something good, make others make a difference. That is called Samraj Lakshmi. And yeah, Nishita.
On the Bhagya Lakshmi aspect
Mhm.
of this, since we're all thinking of stories from 20 years ago, this dates back to about 25. And I had taken a year off to study the scriptures. It was one of the best years of my life. But my parents got worried about what happened to me. So they asked me to study for these IIM entrance exams like my friends were. And I did. We all joined these coaching classes, which give you mock tests every week. So I distinctly remember in the first test, I scored 60 and everyone else scored 30. Then in the second test, I scored 60. In the third test, I scored 60. And this went on for many months. So what do you think I scored in the last test? 60. Meanwhile, everyone inched from 30 to 40 to 50 to 70 to 80. A few even scored 90 plus. So here we were one day before this big entrance exam to the IIM. Of that whole batch who did the coaching class, I got through. I don't think anybody else did. And I don't know what to attribute it to. So would this be Bhagya Lakshmi?
Yeah, sometimes Gurudev says, no, तुम मेरा काम करो, मैं तुम्हारा काम करूंगा. So you do my work, I'll do your work for you. And what is the Guru's work, or what is God's work, is to be happy and to make others happy. To reach out a helping hand to someone. And you have done that a lot, Nishita. And sometimes we also carry it from some previous times, and that really pushes our that luck factor up. And millions of people, when they have done the Art of Living program, when they have involved themselves with some service project, some organizing courses, or you know helping out people in various communities, they report back saying that our luck has just uh, consolidated. Now we don't feel that sala bad luck hi kharab hai. That I never say that my luck is not with me. People have shared this time and again.
Well, it's a wonderful way to live for sure.
So that Bhagya Lakshmi or Gaja Lakshmi, that which removes all obstacles, or the Samrajya Lakshmi, ability to conquer others' minds and hearts, and conquer your own mind too. Yeah, that is the Lakshmi. Then the seventh Lakshmi is called Vidya Lakshmi. Vidya is having knowledge, having skills, having talents. And when someone meditates, all these talents that are there within you, they will come up. The knowledge just blossoms. It is nurtured, it is nourished.
Yeah.
And yeah, yes, Bhavana, would
Yeah.
you like
I've
to?
had a very recent personal experience on that. So, for years, and no, Nishita, I'm not going now 20 years hence, earlier, but this time I will say 13 years ago, because that's where I discovered I had written something. And believe me, for some reason, I had preserved it, unlike most of my other stuff, which just doesn't find a place to continue in life if I'm not paid attention. And I had kept it aside. And for years after that, off and on, I had been getting into writing. In the last few months, and I know Dinesh and Nishita, you've been at the receiving end also. I have just been writing, and writing in different ways, writing in different capacities. And it's just been so fulfilling. It's almost like, okay, so after all these years with my first attempt, like years ago, it's finally happened. And to me, that's an amazing example. It's kind of been along with the timeline that I got engaged in activities with the art of living, including the kriya, the meditation. And honestly, I've said it before, it's not like I came in expecting something, but it's not like I didn't have the conviction to go on with it. And I think I see the difference. So yes, totally with you on that, Dinesh. We've got Vidya Lakshmi here.
Vidya Lakshmi. Lovely. And the eighth Lakshmi is Vijay Lakshmi. We can have all of this, but if there is no success with our endeavors, with our work, then that is a lack of the Vijay Lakshmi. So having that Vijay, that success, that victory with whatever we do, that is the Vijay Lakshmi. So these eight Lakshmis, uh, they make the Ashta Lakshmi, and they take us towards the goal, towards Narayana.
Yeah.
Many people, when they meditate, they say that whatever we undertake, yeah, it somehow bears fruit.
Mm.
And well, that I see is as Vijay Lakshmi. They have that so much of that positivity that they attract success, they attract victory in everything.
Yeah, it's like somebody said, the harder I work, the more luck I seem to have. Or if I just replace luck with success,
Yeah,
so the more you have the conviction and you put your 100% to it, the more it happens exactly the way you thought of it. Or sometimes even when you didn't think of it, but you just let it be, it's almost like a divine intervention making it happen.
of course. And all these eight Lakshmis are so beautifully intertwined. One leads on to the other, and all of them lead towards Narayana. And that is why they are so happily married in the Indian whatever in our context.
Right. So Dinesh, I mean, for several of them, it's almost like the more you have, the more they grow. Is that something which you believe for the 8 Lakshmis?
I would say the more you have and the more you're grateful for it,
Right, right, right,
then you are blessed with more.
right. It's like the example Baba was giving earlier, right? That you have the gratitude and you give, and that's
Yeah,
how it grows. So that's the whole thing with wealth, whether it's the wealth of knowledge, of santan, of success. The more you share it, the more it will come to you. So,
totally.
That's at the level of the individual. When you think at the level of a business, ventures do very well sometimes, and at other times there might be a lull. I mean, look at the whole world right now, right? There is a lull in economies as a whole. So, is Lakshmi, what is happening here? Lakshmi is coming and then coming less at some points.
No, I heard that the people who have been smarter, who have been willing to take risks, yeah, they have grown richer and richer, even during this time of the lockdown.
Yes, and I suppose you're saying that it's not just Dhan Lakshmi, there are all these other Lakshmis. So the different aspects,
Exactly.
enrichment is across all these aspects.
Right? You need to have the courage, you need to have the will to use your talents, and then it will just keep growing.
So would you say they coexist or they come independently?
Both.
Okay.
Yes.
And is there a sequence?
Again, as Gurudev says, no, they are like limbs, yeah, of the being. So you pull one, the others will follow, like that.
So this takes me back to that very first fundamental question, what is wealth? This conversation has been so enriching because moving from just the traditional definition of wealth or dhan, this has been so enriching. And perhaps it is meeting one's goal and making a difference and having a place and people to call home and being healthy and happy. And as you said, giving and feeling grateful.
Absolutely, and that's what makes life richer.
there's a new meaning to Diwali for me. Just the money involved. Thank you.
Okay, so have a fantastic Diwali, blessed with all the Ashtalakshmis and the spirit of Diwali and Narayan. Jai Guru.